Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today I set up a Linux machine on a virtual machine, and I thought before I get started with setting up all my things that I use for web development and just tools in general, I might make a video about it, and just maybe there's someone else that is also setting up a Linux machine and wants to set up some of the helpful tools and apps. So let's get started. So if you maybe want to use some of these commands and things that I'm going to do today, you can go to my GitHub account and check on this URL. You'll find a repository called Ubuntu Web Dev Setup, because I'm using Ubuntu. And then just check the to-dos. Below that, each to-do has a number associated with it, and those are the commands that I'm going to run in the terminal. So maybe some of these commands won't work. This is basically what I collected from the internet, so I haven't run these at all. This is a fresh system, so there might be some issues during creation, but just be sure to check out the gaps in between. I might have to edit that, but these are two separate commands or three separate commands because they aren't one line, so just be wary of that. So to get started, I'm going to open up a terminal with Control-Alt-T, and it'll open up a terminal on the home route. You can see that this is a virtual machine because I'm running it on VirtualBox. And then we're going to start off with doing a sudo apt-get update. So this will just update all the apt-get command. Let's just enter my password. And this should go quickly because when I set up the virtual machine, I had to use apt-get update to link some of my host machine stuff to the virtual machine, so this shouldn't take too long. And then the next command that we want to run is installing curl and some of the essential web dev stuff. So the build essential and libssl dev, I think it's to do with some of the C compilers and stuff like that. So let's just copy that one. So the apt-get update has completed. Now I'm going to paste in that command for the build essentials and libssl dev. In Linux, if you want to paste in the terminal, it's not just Control-V, you have to do Control-Shift-V after you copied something, just a FYI. And then install this one. And then while this loads, I'm going to talk about the next one so long. Curl is very widely used, like a lot of the TVs and ATMs and stuff actually implement curl. It's a very popular package, and the one that comes with Linux, I believe, is wget. So if we check out wget command, yeah, it is natively installed. So if we check out curl, enter, and then it will also show us that it is actually available. So we can close that. So the next thing we want to install is the number 3 on our list, which is Google Chrome. So let's just mark off the first two. We've done the update, we've installed curl, and now we're going to do the Google Chrome install, because currently I have, as you can see, Firefox on here, but I want to install Google Chrome because I do stay up to date with some of their newest releases, and I like testing out some stuff on Google Chrome, and I just enjoy the browser, even though there is some controversy around how much information they collect, or tracking, or ads and stuff like that, but I'm okay with that for now. I haven't been negatively affected. So to install Google Chrome, what I'm going to do is just run this command with curl. This one to download the stable version of Google Chrome. Copy that and then paste that into the terminal and let that run. Binary output can mess up. Use output to tell. Okay. Let's see if we use wget, because I haven't messed with curl too often. Let's do wget. Okay, that's a bit easier. I don't have to do any flags or options. Next up, we will have to depackage that, and then we can continue with the other installations. Let me just let this run and finish off, and then we can get back to that. So now the Google Chrome image has downloaded. We can unpackage it with or depackage it with this command. And setup is some people will find it very fun, other people find it very boring, but to me it's exciting because it opens up new opportunities, a new operating system with all the cool things that you already know. So I hope you guys are as excited about this as I am. Gonna need that sudo password, and that is depackaging it. Alright, so now we can continue with downloading NVM, and let's go check our checklist so that we make sure that we are still doing the right thing. We can X this, and actually what we have to do is see if we have Google Chrome. So we should probably, yeah, there it is. Yeah, we can do that. Why not? Cool. Make Chrome your own. I'll set that up later, but Google Chrome is downloaded and installed. Next up, Node Version Manager. So you're probably wondering what Node Version Manager is, and it's pretty self-explanatory in the name, but let me just give you a quick rundown from their GitHub page. So NVM is this the right page? Yeah, so this is NVM. Here we go. So NVM is a tool that lets you manage, if I can find the right one, this should probably be the right one, but NVM is a tool that helps you manage your node install versions. So basically when you have NVM, you can just run a command like nvm install or nvm list or something like that, and it shows you all the versions of Node that you have installed on your system. This is very helpful in cases where you work on different repositories with different versions of Node, so you can just quickly switch between versions. And I like having the LTS, long-term support version, and the latest version installed at the same time, so I can just switch between those two, because the latest version has very cool new features and syntax updates and things like that, where LTS is a little bit more legacy, but a lot of the open source software or tools that you use online, like let's say Firebase functions or Netlify functions, something like that, they run better with older versions, like version 10 of Node and so forth. So anyway, what we have to do to install this package is, again, we have to call this using this command and then pipe it into bash. So that'll let us run that bash script, and then we can let that install. And that was very quick. We should probably run these commands that they ask us to. So let's copy that. Oh, we have to copy and then paste. And then we have to run this one. Copy and then paste. And then finally this one. Copy and paste. So this is great programming. You know, if copy paste programming is next level programming, and I think we should all move towards that. So next up, the guide asks us to do source profile, and I'm not sure if it actually installed there, because it felt a little bit too quick. Let's just see if we have NVM. Oh, it is available. Must be a very small-ish package. Probably just does a lot of requests and stuff like that. Okay, so now we have NVM installed, so we can install Node. Let's do NVM install Node, and this is going to install the latest one if you just run it like that. And now we'll probably wait a little bit for the download of Node, and with our African internet this might take a while, so I'm going to fast forward this. Alright, so we have the latest version of Node. Now we can do the long-term support version, and that we can do through nvm install --lts and just run it like that, and it will install the long-term support version. I wonder if Node checks your checks which version, or Node Version Manager checks which versions are installed, and then has a way to cache some of that differences and then just install the difference. I think it'll be a little bit complicated doing that, but it's definitely possible. Could be. And then I just want to use the long-term support version for now, because it's the safest with all the stuff. So we have node and npm now, and we can check that through node, I believe, -- version, and we have that one, and then we can do npm -v, and we have that one. Great. So now we have node and npm installed. So now we can try the node thing. Let's do console.log. We need to make a string. Hello. And there we go. Now we can exit. I think it has to be .exit. Whoops. Cool. So we have the node installed. Next up, we want to do git. So to install git, we can use the apt-get command. So we can do sudo apt-get git core. And git is a version manager so that we can push and pull all our code from the internet. I should probably say install. And git is very, it's so important with web development, because we always use it when collaborating, when we need to store our code online, to have it just persist online somewhere so that we don't accidentally delete the files from our system. And it helps with version control, so we can release version 1, version 2. It is great. If you don't know about git, I really recommend you check out git. So let us move on. Next up, we have to do some git configuration so that I have my username and password set up globally. And you do that through git config --global user.name, and that will be my GitHub username. Whoops. And then we can do user.email. Oops. Cool. And then I'm going to set up some SSH keys for my Git. So SSH keygen helps us do that. I'm going to do a -t and RSA, and I'm going to do a 4096 on the B flag, and then -c with my email address. And then on the yeah, that should do it. We can generate that. Just enter through that passphrase. I don't want one. Cool, we've generated our fingerprint. So now what we want to do is eval in quotes this thing, the SSH agent. So this allows us not to have to redo this every time. So we can add it to our SSH agent. So it's given us a PID, and now we can just do SSH add, and then just do the path where it installed, and that will be .ssh/id_RSA. This is my private key, and there we go, it's added. And so we need to add our public key to GitHub. So I'm going to go to my own GitHub, and then just go to my profile, this one, and go to settings. Let's just make this bigger so that we can see what's going on. We can go here, we can go settings, and then SSH and GPG keys, and then we can add a new SSH key. We can do this. Let's do cat this thing .ssh/id_RSA.pub. And this is the public key, so it doesn't really matter if you see this or not. So we can copy that and then paste that in there, and just do Linux machine, and then add that SSH key, and there we have it. So I can delete this one because this is an old system. Understand? Please delete. Don't care about that anymore. And we can test this by going to one of my repositories, your repositories, and then try and do a clone with the SSH method. So So let's do a small one. Let's do the readme that I uploaded, and we say clone or download, and then let's use SSH, and then copy that, go to our terminal, clear this out, paste. Oh, we have to do git clone, and it seems like it worked. Let's add this to our identities, and there we go, it worked. So the SSH key is functional. Great. So that is, let's check our checklist. We have Node version manager. We have the long-term support. We have Git. We have SSH. Now we can install VScode. So VScode is a code editor that we can use to edit all kinds of code files. But mostly in web development, you'll probably do JavaScript, HTML, CSS, SCSS, all those kinds of files. But VS Code isn't limited to that. You can do Go, you can do Rust, you can do C++, you can do all those kinds of things. But in some use cases, the actual Visual Studio application might be better. But for code, we'll do sudo snap, I think it's install code, and then we have to do dash. Let's just check the command before I ruin the sudo snap install code dash classic, and that should do it. And then just the sudo password. So now we'll download code. Code is just it used to be VS Code. Let me just show you something quickly. If you have a Ubuntu system and you already have, or a Linux system and you already have a snap called VS Code, you'll have to do sudo snap remove VS Code, because VS Code was a snap created by a third-party developer who needed a snap to just easily get code onto the system. But then Microsoft went and created their own snap, which is maintained by the official people and whatever. So I recommend installing the code snap, because I have a suspicious feeling that the VS Code snap might not be maintained as vigorously anymore. So let's download this. And it looks like VS Code has completed. So we can test, first of all, the command by doing an ls, and we did download the Ubuntu web dev. So let's cd into Ubuntu that, and then try the code command. And it looks like it's working. Something's spinning up, and there it opens the Visual Studio Code. So now that we have Visual Studio Code installed, what we want to do, or what I want to do, is to change my theme and settings a little bit to my preferred stuff. So I don't like changing too many things, because when I move over to new systems, like this is already quite a setup, but when I move to new systems, I don't want to take too much time setting up to get started, So I try and keep my stuff to a minimal. Even though this looks quite excessive, but it's not that bad compared to some other people's setups. So the next thing we want to do is do some of the theming stuff. And this isn't in the commands because it's through the interface. So we'll install a VS Code theme, and I'll rename this because I use Wes Boss's theme called Cobalt 2. And it's pretty cool. I really enjoy it. I think there is a, oops, not save. I think there is a font that we have to put in there as well. I'm not sure. Let's go look at that thing. Cobalt 2 theme. I'm pretty sure these things would be in the actual theme itself. So let's do extensions, and then we just type in Cobalt 2. And there we have it. Theme by WesBoss, version 2 something. So let's install that. Can make this, and you can already see it updated my colors and all those things, and I'm going to use Cobalt 2. And then there is some extra things that we need to do. There are some extra things that we need to do. Let's just scroll down here. So this is recommended settings. Let us do copy, because that's what the theme of the day is copy pasting. And then Control, Shift and P, I believe. And then type in settings, and I like doing through JSON. We can just paste that in, I believe, because it already includes that property. So very important, install this plugin. You will need to change an absolute path on your computer. That means I don't want to install that plugin, so I'm just going to remove it. And then prettier ESLint integration. I don't have ESLint installed right now, so you could set up ESLint, but I, to be honest, don't use it that much these days because I don't really work on enterprise projects that much. And then I don't know if these fonts are included because I don't see, it's usually like a cursor font that needs to be installed. So how do we go about doing that? Let's find out through the interwebs. GitHub. We'll see if there is some tips and tricks over here. So installation, reload, important CSX, yes, install. Okay, so I think we have to install that font on our system. Let's try and restart code first before we do that. Save this and then close. And then just close code. And then run that command again. Maybe the font will be available. It doesn't look like it. Let's create a new file called index.js, and then yeah, no, this is the normal font. Let's download that font. Let's go to our settings again and look at the font. It's operator mono. So I believe we'll have to have this installed on our system. So let's try and find it. It'll be, let's do operator mono font. Here we go. Should be this one. Download font for desktop. Yeah, open with that. And then there we have all these things. Can we select them all and install? Oh, we have to extract them. So let's just do extract to desktop. Okay, show the files. Let us select all of them, and is there a way to install them? Let's do open with fonts. Install. Oh no, it's probably going to open like 20 font pages now. And there goes all my allocated memory for the virtual machine. Let's see what happens. Well, it seems like it installed a font. I'm not sure which one. Things are getting a little bit slow, so I might need to add some more memory to this machine. Installed. You can go away. Don't want you anymore. And I guess we have to do these one by one. That's fine by me. Alright, so now that those have installed, let's run code again and see if we have any updates. So it does look like we updated our font. Looks quite nice also. Let's see if we, yeah, looks like we do have updated fonts. So we can remove that and then not save. Then before this thing crashes because of memory, let's check out the other fonts that we need to install, because I believe there was more So there's Menlo and Monaco. Let's check those out. Alright, so I just installed all those fonts because the network was a bit slow, so I just rushed through those. But now we can move on to some of the other extensions. So I'm going to open up the terminal again, and then just go open up that same file that we were using earlier. So Control-Alt-T should open the terminal, and then I think it was cd Ubuntu, and then open that with code. So we got on nice new font setup and theme, and everything looks good. So next up, what I want to do is install Live Sass Compiler, Prettier, V2, and VScode icons, because those are extensions that I use quite often. So let's start with Live Sass Compiler. So let's do Live Sass, and it should be this one. Install that, and then the next thing we want to install is the Prettier extension, which just helps format your code. So the network is blatantly slow, but that's fine. And it should be this Prettier code formatter 2.3. So install that one. And then the next thing we want to install is Vector, which is just a syntax highlighting plugin, and also like code suggestions and stuff for Vue, and even snippets. So we can install that one. Just searching VETUR, and it would be this one by Pine Wu. Install that one. And then the next and final one for VS Code would be VS Code icons, because I just like it when the icons next to the file names are pretty. So we can do VS Code -icons, and it would be this one, VS Code icons team, version 9 and above. So these guys maintain this package pretty well. I have spoken to one of the maintainers, and whenever some sort of new framework or anything comes out, they're pretty quick to update their package to include those icons. And as you can see, they have 21 million downloads, so it seems like they aren't doing a bad job. So that would be all the extensions for VS Code. Now VS Code has a thing called Live Server, which allows you to host your HTML files locally. But I'm going to install another one called Light Server globally, and because we have Node installed, we can simply just do npm i-g and then install Light Server. And you could do npx Light Server, but I'll just have it installed locally because I do use it very often, so that's fine. And then the final step, which is probably also the longest one, is to install MongoDB and run it as a service. MongoDB is my favorite database, so I use it in most of my projects. So it's very important for me to have it on my system. If you use something else like SQLite or MySQL or Postgres or anything like that, you probably want to go check out their documentation. But today I'm going to set up MongoDB. So let's check how the installations are doing. As you can see, the network is a little bit slow, so it's taking its time. Okay, so the npm thing has completed, so let's just check if we have Light Server available. -h maybe. Did not detect. Okay, so yeah, it's working. It's opening up all kinds of servers. I don't know what it's hosting up there. Okay, let's clear that out, and then we can finally install MongoDB. So this takes a few steps, but it's okay. It's just copy paste programming again. We first want to update our sudo apt-get. Copy and paste that in there, and then we should probably say yes. Okay, that was nice and quick. And then we can do install these dependencies. I'm pretty sure we already, oh wait, we have to go to this section. I felt like I've done this before. Okay, so we have to get this key from this key server thing, and then just, you know, copy paste. Just don't even ask questions. Just press enter and let it install. Let it take over your computer. The next thing we want to do while that runs is just copy this. Something is imported, so that's good. We can do, already did that. So we can do, why did I paste this twice? We have to remove one of these lines. Now we need to download MongoDB. And MongoDB is a non-relational data store that helps you store your app stuff. Unable to locate package mongodb.org. Okay, so I found this site that says sudo apt install MongoDB and not mongodb.org. So I guess we should try that. Oops. We don't need that $sign thing over there. Yes, do that for me. And it looks like it's downloading something. I'm not sure why the older guides show MongoDB.org. I don't really know what the reason for that is. So I might need to update this this line item just to fix that, and I'll do that before I commit the repository. Okay, so that completed. I guess we can check the status of the MongoDB. So I found this on DigitalOcean as well. They seem to agree with the plain Mongo, so it is loaded and active and running. So can I Control C out of this? Yes. And what I want to do is run this as a service in the background. I think I'm going to copy this into that file, this MongoDB service. So let's just first see what this looks like before we do that. And there's nothing in there, so we can just paste all of this in there. Seems legit. What this is doing, I think, is just adding all the dependencies that Mongo needs to run when the system starts up. So Control X, Y, save, clear, and then we can do this, reload the okay, we need a password for that, and that's done. And now we can check if MongoDB is running. Looks like it, so that it's good, and then we can run it on startup. And then if you want to, you can create a user that you need to connect to sort of your admin database or something like that. For now, I'm not going to add a user because I'm only going to use this for development purposes. No real, I'm not going to host this MongoDB instance up or anything like that. But this is the command you would use to create a user, and you have to replace this password with your own password. So I think we can check if Mongo is running by just typing in Mongo, and it looks good. And then we can say show DBs, because that's a Mongo command. And there we have it. We have an admin. So let's do use admin. And then we can say show collections. And we have system.version. Let's do db.system.version.find. And it just shows us the version 3.6. Cool, so we can exit out of that. And that would conclude the all the steps that is needed for me to set up my Linux machine. So now I have VScode, I have my theme, and I can start coding on this thing. I have MongoDB if I want to do full stack stuff. I have npm and Node set up to run servers, so we can cross that off. Let's edit the command for the MongoDB installation. It's just MongoDB, it's not org. And then yeah, that should be good. Let's commit this. Commit changes. And everything is good. We finished all of that. So if you want to follow these steps, including some of the debugging stuff, you can just go to this repo and check it out. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Now the system is ready to go, ready to code, ready to create some awesome websites, servers, databases. If you guys want to see some of that content, maybe click the subscribe button and the bell to get the notifications, because soon I'll be releasing a beginner course for web development. I know a lot of you guys are intermediate that watch this channel, but I think there's a big need, especially where I'm from, to learn how to code, because coding is going to be one of the most important skills to have in the future, and I think everyone should have access to it. That's why I just want to create a beginner series so that I do feel like I have contributed to that field of coding. But don't worry, for the intermediates, I will still release some shorter type videos in between those long tutorials. So thank you for watching, and remember to leave a like. Cheers.